Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Casey. I'm Scott Zaremba, Deputy County Administrator for Community Operations, and I appreciate the opportunity to provide an operations update. I'll cover two topics tonight. When I first started preparing for this work session, my primary objective was to discuss with you our reopening plans, but I think it's also important to talk services we continue to offer, so I'll start there. Then I'll spend a few minutes discussing the precautions we are taking to keep employees and citizens safe as we return to more face-to-face interaction to conduct business. Next slide, please. I want to start with a brief look back at how we transitioned hundreds of employees to telework in mid-March. Immediately after the county announced it would be open on Tuesday, March 17th with reduced operations, IST became flooded with requests to equip employees for essential services, including deployments of VPN access, new laptops, and changes to voice communications. A large part of the task of enabling the county workforce would be to provide suitable laptops for employees who did not have a mobile computer and to reconfigure existing laptops and even desktops for use at home. This distribution and reconfiguration needed to be rapid but also safe for all parties. Desktop Services developed procedures and began to schedule employees for staggered appointments to pick up assigned equipment. Customers would pull into the parking lot to pick up the equipment at one of 4 lines and verify their logins, all while maintaining social distancing. Through this innovation and distantly safe process, 251 laptops, desktops, and virtual desktops were distributed to ensure employees could safely work from home. Additional software deployments were scheduled for after the customers left the premises to minimize in-person contact. Today, there are almost 2,600 employees registered to remotely access email and work files from home. Next slide, please. IST has also been instrumental in adopting new technology to allow us to continue to serve our customers. Microsoft Teams, shown on the left side of the screen, has been available to employees since December, but it's just recently become a lifeline for employees to connect and transact business. IST has also established a new automated signature process using software called DocuSign. The first customer was using it in production within 2 weeks of us signing a contract with the vendor. HR is now using it for new employee orientation that includes about 23 multi-page documents being completed and signed by the new employee, and then verified and signed by HR and accounting. Community Corrections uses DocuSign to obtain electronic signatures from clients signing their intake paperwork. Other offices will follow, as there are many uses for this powerful program. IST also designed and delivered an app in just 10 days to the Treasurer's Office that allowed almost 400 citizens to apply for payment plans online in the past 5 weeks. Later this summer, we'll have an additional work session to describe the impacts of the pandemic on the IT project portfolio. Next slide, please. I'm going to briefly highlight 4 more areas that have used innovation to continue to meet customer demand. Chesterfield County Public Libraries were one of the first departments to step up. Pictured here, you see how they continued to provide access to print material collections via curbside service that allows checkouts, material request, and hold pickup. Libraries as large as the city of Philadelphia called to benchmark with us and determine how they could offer similar services. Many are still not offering this valuable service. We also offer access to a virtual call center reference for homework help or assistance with just about any question you might have. The library has also quickly pivoted to modified program services via Facebook Live, including their popular story times and yoga. As successful as this has been, we still hope to open 3 of our 10 libraries by June 15th. Next slide, please. Like other departments, Parks and Recreation moved the majority of its full-time staff to a teleworking mode, but they also had to furlough 187 part-time employees. This forced them to think outside the box and move staff around to cover duties such as animal care at Rockwood Park and at Henricus Historical Park. All their sections work together to create and share virtual programming so the public can engage and participate in healthy activities. These virtual programs and others in cooperative extension were shared on social media, posted on the main government website, and a virtual website page was created for easier access. The largest division in parks continued to work full-time, moving to staggered shifts throughout the 6 districts to keep people safe while maintaining our parks. During this difficult time, parks and trails remained open, often seeing record numbers. And as it became feasible to do so, other amenities were opened up with signage posted outlining restrictions and guidelines for continued use. By June 15th, our goal is to open all 3 recreation centers and Rockwood Nature Center within CDC governored guidelines. Next slide, please. Everyone knows that public safety has remained open during these trying times, but I want to highlight our animal services function, which has continued operating at a high volume. Many employees are choosing to adopt animals at this time. We are performing all of our usual services via appointment. When the pandemic began, we sent over 30 animals into foster care with county and school employees. Citizens can view all of our adoptable animals online, select animals they want to view outside for a meet and greet, and if they decide to adopt, we process all paperwork outside. Next slide, please. On this slide, you see pictures of the courts building, one of our newsletters called Beyond the New Normal, and building inspections. I want to take a moment to focus on building inspections because construction in Chesterfield County has remained strong throughout this event, and our workload of permits to process, plans to review, and inspections to perform are all above 2019 levels. Though the CD building is closed to the public, we have staff stationed at our entrance for those dropping off plans and permit applications. A large cart has applications and other forms available for customers that have not completed the documents prior to arrival. Customers can take the forms to their vehicles to complete, drop off the permit, plan, or payment, and then as soon as they walk away, a staff member goes out and retrieves the submittal. We're looking forward to adding a fully electronic permit application, plan, and payment submittal option this summer. We accelerated this portion of the ELM project months ago ahead of schedule to meet this need. Building Inspections currently has 25 inspectors who are working at home conducting inspections. Their results can be uploaded from their homes or at any county facility along their route, such as libraries and fire stations. Inspectors do not enter the occupied homes, but will utilize video or picture-based virtual inspections to get the job done. Building Inspections has done a great job of practicing spatial and temporal distancing. Only 10 to 20 staff members out of their 61 are in the office on any given day. Next slide, please. Again, I could probably go on all day talking about the tremendous work our county employees are doing, but let me take the rest of my time to talk about how we're preparing for phase 1 reopening. It's the county's intent to follow all recommended guidelines from the Center for Disease Control. Accordingly, we have created a reopening task force with multiple deputy county administrators on it, as well as subject matter experts from risk management, general services, IST, and human resources. Our objective is a reopening plan that can be applied as consistently as possible across all departments while recognizing disparate needs. The county's reopening will not occur all at once, but rather in waves based on identified priorities. Such a tiered approach will ensure that we can maintain and gradually increase service levels while navigating the reopening process. A phase 1 self-assessment and transition checklist is completed by each department director as a guidance and planning tool before they reopen any services. Risk management, general services, and IST staff schedule on-site walkthroughs with each department to review the checklist and ensure that practices are robust and adequately addressed and mitigate specific potential risks. After-action reviews will enable us to make mid-course changes if necessary to improve performance and ensure safety and health protection. Next slide, please. Here you see the main areas covered by our checklist. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this because we really want citizens to know they will be safe entering and transacting business in county buildings. Current data supports that the coronavirus is primarily spread from close person-to-person contact, or from touching the eyes, nose, or mouth with a contaminated hand. Our reopening mitigation efforts focus on those primary areas of exposure. We will limit close person-to-person contact and reduce the probability of contact exposure to the face by working remotely whenever possible and using physical, administrative, and behavioral social distancing measures to ensure that person-to-person interaction is separated by a distance of 6 feet or more, or there is protection from physical sneeze or cough barriers. We will limit the maximum occupancy of work areas to reduce the total number of people in a given floor area and encourage frequent hand washing and staying at home when feeling sick. We will require the use of facial coverings and are working on how we may evaluate health or illness status before entering indoor work areas. All of these measures reduce the probability or likelihood of exposure at work. Additional announcements may be made after the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry develops and releases their emergency workplace safety standards. Our emphasis is on well thought out planning, proceeding with caution, and doing the right things to protect citizens and employees by incorporating all the best guidance of health professionals, including the CDC, OSHA, and the Virginia Department of Health. Next slide, please. Since an estimated 30% of all COVID-19 cases are asymptomatic, and as a result of new guidelines just released from the governor, the county will require the mandatory use of facial coverings by all individuals aged 10 and up who enter a county building. This includes employees and citizens arriving to transact business. Appropriate signage will be posted in the parking lot so citizens understand the rules before they even approach the front door. Hand sanitizer stations will be provided in entrance areas. Floor markings and barriers have been installed where necessary, and we have begun enhanced touch point cleaning twice a day. Citizen access will be restricted to the first floor of multi-story county buildings for day-to-day transactions, such as making payments, submitting an application, or requesting information. Scheduled meetings and appointments on more detailed matters are the exception to that rule. Signage will be installed to indicate lower capacities for meeting rooms. By opening on June 1st for collection of tax payments, the Treasurer's Office will be our model for offices that follow. Next slide, please. We believe the Treasurer has created a well-thought-out plan for next week based on the input of a collaborative team of experts with an emphasis on safety for everyone. 12 customers will be allowed in the building at any one time, and lines will queue up outside the building this year. Citizens will enter through one door and exit through another. This office is primarily open to take cash payment transactions because all other payment options are still available, and we do prefer those. There are contactless, no-cost options for payment, including online banking with e-check fees being waived, U.S. mail, or by telephone. A second drop box will also be available so citizens do not have to come into the building. The Treasurer will mail receipts for cash payments made in the drop box if a citizen writes receipt requested on the envelope. There is no need to wait in line. I'd like to emphasize that we appreciate everyone's patience during these trying times. Things may take a bit longer, but please know we are focusing on protecting employees and providing citizens with a safe and healthy experience. Next slide, please. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Madam Chair.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Zaremba?
Scott, I wanted to say thank you very much. I appreciate so much all the effort that you and your staff have put into making this a safe transition for all of our citizens who are coming down there to conduct normal business. I mean, I think that the county generally has done very well, and that the private sector, of course, is trying to figure this out as well. And so this, I think, will be a good model for our businesses that are learning to cope in this transition. So it's really a job well done here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'll add my thanks to that. Our next presentation
Madam Chair, I had one comment.
I apologize, Mr. Carroll.
Scott, first of all, I think everybody's worked very hard to put a great plan together. Part of what I heard was that they're going to be outside lines. Are we doing anything from a tent point of view to protect the public in case we have inclement weather that may have to stand in a line outside? I'm just curious. Thank you.
I believe the treasurer has put up some tents or will put up some tents in the courtyard. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.